You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do, so help me God.
We'll use our traditional timing system here today. About 1 minute before the red light comes on, you're going to see lights change from green to yellow, giving you an opportunity to conclude your remarks. Your written testimony will be printed in the record in its entirety. We ask that you limit your oral testimony to no more than 10 minutes. Again, our thanks to you, Mr. Cook, and your colleagues for being here today, and you may proceed.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we've changed that. It's to a 15-minute opportunity instead of 10 minutes.
I appreciate that. Good morning, Chairman Levin, Ranking Member McCain, and members of the subcommittee. I am proud to represent Apple before you today. Apple has enjoyed unprecedented success over the past 10 years. The worldwide popularity of our products has soared, and our international revenues are now twice as large as our domestic revenues. As a result, I'm often asked if Apple still considers itself an American company. My answer has always been an emphatic yes. We are proud to be an American company and equally proud of our contributions to the U.S. economy. Apple is a bit larger today than the company created by Steve Jobs in his parents' garage 40 years ago. But that same entrepreneurial spirit drives everything that we do. You can tell the story of Apple's success in just one word: innovation. It's what we're known for. Products like iPhone and iPad, which created entirely new markets. These give customers something so incredibly useful they can't imagine their lives without them. You might be surprised to learn that much of that innovation takes place in a single U.S. zip code, 95014. That's Cupertino, California, where we have built an amazing team, the brightest, most creative people on the planet. They come to work each day with just one mission: to make the very best products on Earth. Their job is to dream up things that capture the world's imagination. One of those inventions is the App Store. If you've ever used an iPhone or an iPad, you know that mobile apps are one of the hottest things in technology today. Apps have made software development one of the fastest growing job segments in the U.S. today. We estimate that the App Store has generated nearly 300,000 new jobs in the U.S. App developers have earned over $9 billion from apps sold on the App Store, half in the last year alone. None of that economic activity was there 5 years ago. But Apple took a bold step in developing the App Store, and the app economy was born. Today, it's a multi-billion-dollar marketplace, and it shows no sign of slowing. We've chosen to keep the design and development of those revolutionary products right here in the United States. While job growth stagnated across the country over the last decade, Apple's U.S. workforce grew by 5-fold. Today, we have 50,000 employees, and we have employees in all 50 states. Apple has created hundreds of thousands of jobs at small and large businesses that support us, from people involved in manufacturing to people involved in delivering the products to our customers. Components for iPhone and iPad, for example, are made in Texas, and iPhone glass comes from Kentucky. In total, Apple is responsible for creating or supporting 600,000 new jobs. We've used our earnings growth to invest billions of dollars in the U.S. to create even more American jobs. We're investing $100 million to build a line of Macs in the U.S. later this year. This product will be assembled in Texas, include components from Illinois and Florida, and rely on equipment produced in Kentucky and Michigan. We've constructed one of the world's largest data centers in North Carolina, reflecting our commitment to the environment The data center is powered by the largest solar farm and fuel cell of its kind in the U.S. We're building data centers in Oregon and Nevada, a new campus in Texas, and a new headquarters in Cupertino. With all this growth and investment, to the best of our knowledge, Apple has become the largest corporate income taxpayer in America. Last year, our U.S. federal cash effective tax rate was 30.5%, and we paid nearly $6 billion in cash to the U.S. Treasury. That's more than $16 million each day, and we expect to pay even more this year. I'd like to explain to the subcommittee very clearly how we view our responsibility with respect to taxes. Apple has real operations in real places with Apple employees selling real products to real customers. We pay all the taxes we owe, every single dollar. We not only comply with the laws, but we comply with the spirit of the laws. We don't depend on tax gimmicks. We don't move intellectual property offshore and use it to sell our products back to the United States to avoid taxes. We don't stash money on some Caribbean island. We don't move our money from our foreign subsidiaries to fund our U.S. business in order to skirt the repatriation tax. Our foreign subsidiaries hold 70% of our cash because of the very rapid growth of our international business. We use these earnings to fund our foreign operations, such as spending billions of dollars to acquire equipment to make Apple products and to finance construction of Apple retail stores around the world. Under the current U.S. corporate tax system, it would be very expensive to bring that cash back to the United States. Unfortunately, the tax code has not kept up with the digital age. The tax system handicaps American corporations in relation to our foreign competitors who don't have such constraints on the free movement of capital. Apple is a company of strong values. We believe our extraordinary success brings increased responsibilities to the communities where we live, work, and sell our products. We enthusiastically embrace the belief, as President Kennedy said, to whom much is given, much is required. In addition to creating hundreds of thousands of American jobs and developing products that deeply enrich the lives of millions, Apple is a champion of human rights, education, and the environment. Our belief that innovation should serve humanity's deepest values and highest aspirations is not going to change. Apple is also a company of strong opinions. While we have never had a large presence in this town, we are deeply committed to our country's welfare. We believe great public policy can be a catalyst for a better society and a stronger America. Apple has always believed in the simple, not the complex. You can see this in our products and in the way we conduct ourselves. It is in this spirit that we recommend a dramatic simplification of the corporate tax code. This reform should be revenue neutral, eliminate all corporate tax expenditures, lower corporate income tax rates, and implement a reasonable tax on foreign earnings that allows the free flow of capital back to the United States. We make this recommendation with our eyes wide open, fully recognizing that this would likely result in an increase in Apple's U.S. taxes. But we strongly believe that such comprehensive reform would be fair to all taxpayers, would keep America globally competitive, and would promote U.S. economic growth. My colleague, Peter Oppenheimer, will now make a few opening remarks, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oppenheimer.
Good morning, Chairman Levin, Ranking Member McCain, members of the subcommittee. My name is Peter Oppenheimer, and I am Apple's Chief Financial Officer. I would like to discuss the structure and management of Apple's global business and financial operations. In the U.S., our operational structure is quite simple. We sell to our customers through our retail stores, online stores, and channel partners. We provide our award-winning support to our customers through the Genius Bar and Apple Care. We pay taxes to federal, state, and local governments on the full profits from these sales. Outside the U.S., we seek to provide the same industry-leading products, services, and support that our U.S. customers have come to expect. We now sell the iPhone and iPad in over 100 countries. Like all multinational companies, Apple must follow the local laws and regulations in each region where we operate. This often requires Apple to establish a physical presence, not only in the region, but also in the particular country where we wish to sell our products and services. Apple's presence in these countries often takes the form of Apple-owned subsidiaries. These in-country subsidiaries acquire products to sell in their markets through Apple-owned regional operating subsidiaries, which in turn acquire products from our contract manufacturers. In the European region, our primary operating subsidiaries are incorporated in Ireland. These subsidiaries, which were established in the early 1980s, now employ nearly 4,000 people in Ireland, and we recently broke ground on an expansion to our campus in Cork. Since 1980, Apple has had an R&D cost-sharing agreement with our Irish subsidiaries. The agreement was first put in place when Apple was about 5 years old and wanted to sell its computers overseas. At that time, Apple's revenues were 0.1% of what they are today, and the invention of the iPhone was decades away. Today, the substance of the agreement is largely unchanged, except for our expansion into more countries and recent updates to comply with new U.S. Treasury regulations. Our cost-sharing agreement, which is common in the industry, is audited by the IRS, and we are in full compliance with all laws and regulations. The agreement enables Apple to share the costs and risks of developing new products with our Irish subsidiaries. Virtually all of this R&D and the jobs that go with it take place in the U.S. In exchange for this funding, the Irish subsidiaries have rights to distribute in Europe and Asia products created by the R&D funded by the agreement. We have used this method to distribute our products internationally for more than 30 years. More than half of our ongoing R&D costs are funded by Apple Ireland. When times are good, as they have been in recent years, our Irish subsidiaries benefit greatly, as we do in the U.S. When Apple lost money in the mid-1990s, our Irish subsidiaries lost money as well. I mentioned losing money in the 1990s because it serves as a reminder of how close Apple came to going out of business. In 1997, we were on the brink of bankruptcy and about out of cash. In just 2 years, we lost $2 billion. I can tell you firsthand, we were facing the very real possibility of a world without Apple. A big part of the turnaround was a company-wide effort to streamline and simplify so Apple could survive. We restructured our operations and finances to make everything as simple and efficient as possible. As part of that effort, we consolidated our European post-tax income into 2 existing subsidiaries, a holding company, Apple Operations International, or AOI, and an operating company, Apple Sales International, or ASI. The consolidation eliminated enormous complexity in handling foreign bank accounts and improved our ability to manage currency risk. While AOI and ASI are both incorporated in Ireland, neither is tax resident there under the rules of Irish law. Indeed, Irish law contemplates that companies may be incorporated in Ireland without being tax resident there. I should clarify one point here. For many years, ASI has had thousands of employees in Ireland. Until 2012, the payroll for these ASI employees was run through another Apple subsidiary, AOE. The fact that AOI and ASI are not tax resident in Ireland does not reduce our U.S. taxes at all. The profits held by AOI and ASI have already been taxed by foreign governments according to the local laws where the money is earned. The investment income on their cash holdings is taxed by the U.S. government at the corporate tax rate of 35%. Apple could certainly choose to manage foreign after-tax profits in numerous foreign subsidiaries without moving the cash to AOI or ASI, but that would have absolutely no effect on the taxes we pay in the U.S. However, eliminating the central cash management function would be inefficient. Managing larger pools of cash centrally, rather than many places around the world, reduces complexity, better protects the asset, and helps us earn higher returns through the economies of scale. Today, Apple is in the fortunate position of having more cash from international operations than we need to run our company and pursue strategic opportunities. Some observers have questioned Apple's decision to fund part of its capital return to shareholders by issuing $17 billion in debt rather than repatriating foreign earnings. Apple respectfully suggests that any objective analysis will conclude that this decision was in the best interest of our shareholders. If Apple had used foreign earnings to return capital, the funds would have been diminished by the very high U.S. corporate tax rate of 35%. By contrast, given today's historically low interest rates, the cost of issuing debt was less than 2%. Mr. Cook, Mr. Bullock, and I would be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oppenheimer. Mr. Bullock?
Good morning.
Good morning. Do you have any?
Our statement is concluded, Senator.
Thank you. First, let me thank Apple for the cooperation that it has extended to the subcommittee. We very much appreciate that. I think, Mr. Cook, you made reference to, you quoted President Kennedy. I'm wondering whether you would agree with the following statement of President Kennedy that he made in his April 1961 tax message. That deferral has served as a shelter for tax escape through the unjustifiable use of tax havens, such as Switzerland. Recently, more and more enterprises organized abroad by American firms have arranged their corporate structures, aided by artificial arrangements between parent and subsidiary regarding intercompany pricing, the transfer of patent licensing rights, the shifting of management fees, and similar practices which maximize the accumulation of profits in the tax haven. Do you agree with that?
The President and his brother have been long-term heroes of mine. So I'm sure if he said it at the time, it was true. Today, from at least our point of view, I don't consider deferral to be a sham or abusive in any kind of way.
Okay. Mr. Bullock, does Apple Inc. own directly or indirectly AOI, AOE, and ASI?
Yes, Apple Inc. owns directly or indirectly AOI, AOE, and ASI.
All right. So all those companies in Ireland are owned by Apple effectively. Is that correct?
They are all legally owned by Apple Inc., yes.
And where is AOI, Mr. Bullock, functionally managed and controlled?
In our view, it is functionally managed and controlled, which is an Irish legal concept in the United States.
In a February 11 letter to the subcommittee, Apple wrote us that it has, quote, not made a determination regarding the location of AOI's central management and control. Why did you tell us that?
Mr. Chairman, the reason we responded in that manner is that under Irish law, the requirement for evaluating or concluding on the tax residency of Ireland looks to whether or not central management and control takes place in Ireland or not. It does not formally require that you make a determination that it takes place somewhere else.
But you've told us here this morning that you believe that the location of AOI's central management and control is in the United States. So Apple's concluded that. Is that correct?
Yes, and I believe that in a previous meeting with your staff, they asked the same question, and I believe that I provided the same response.
Okay. Mr. Cook, do you agree that the location of AOI's central management control is in the United States?
Sir, I don't know what the legal definition of that is, but from a practical point of view, yes.
Now, relative to ASI, Mr. Bullock, is ASI functionally managed and controlled in the United States?
As a practical matter, applying the Irish legal standard of central management and control, I believe that it is centrally managed and controlled from the United States.
And does Apple agree that it is functionally managed and controlled in the United States?
Under Irish law, yes.
No, under our law, do you believe that?
I don't believe that central management and control is a legal term under U.S. tax law.
All right. Do you believe it is functionally managed and controlled in the United States?
Yes.
Mr. Cook, do you agree?
We have significant employees in Ireland. We have about 4,000. And so there's a significant amount of decisions and leadership and negotiations that go on in Ireland. But some of the most strategic ones do take place in the United States.
Would you agree that, on balance, that ASI is functionally managed and controlled in the United States?
From a practical matter, I don't know the legal definition of the word.
As a practical matter, you would agree that it is functionally managed and controlled in the United States?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you.
Here's where they showed us they had 0 employees for 3 years. Now they said they have 4,000.
Now, Mr. Bullock, AOI is incorporated in Ireland, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is incorporated in Ireland.
And where is AOI a tax resident?
It does not have a tax residency. That does not mean that it does not pay taxes. The interest that it earns is paid, U.S. taxes are paid in full on its interest by Apple Inc.
And the interest you're talking about is on the tens of billions of dollars that it has in cash, is that correct?
Correct. The cash that was distributed from the operating subsidiaries underneath.
All right, so those tens of billions of dollars of cash earn interest, and that interest is paid by Apple Inc., is that correct?
The U.S. tax on that interest is paid by Apple Inc. at the U.S. statutory rate of 35%, yes.
But there is no income, there's no tax paid on the money itself that has been sent to Apple, excuse me, to AOI by the distributors, is that correct? There's been no tax paid on that, either in Ireland or in the United States, on those tens of billions of dollars which has been sent to AOI from the subsidiaries below that.
The income of the subsidiaries have been subject to tax in the countries in which they operate.
Right, but there's been no tax paid in Ireland on those distributions, nor in the United States on those profits. Is that correct?
There is no U.S. tax on the transfer of those balances to AOI. The income earned by ASI and AOE has been subject to Irish tax in full in accordance with the agreement that we have with Ireland.
And is that a maximum of 2%?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not precisely sure of the mechanics of the computation.
Not the mechanics, but is that a maximum of 2%?
Approximately, yes.
Thank you. Has AOI filed a corporate income tax return in the last 5 years?
No. Prior to that, it made filings in France for a branch operation there.
All right. But they've paid no corporate income tax for the last 5 years at least, is that correct?
Again, they did not pay any corporate income tax, but Apple Inc. has paid corporate income tax.
No,
on
I
the
didn't
interest.
ask you about Apple Inc., I asked you about AOI.
That's correct.
That's where
AOI,
that's where most of the profits go, doesn't it?
they receive dividends from the operating subsidiaries underneath.
And what is the amount of cash that went to ASI from those dividends?
Over what period of time?
The last 5 years, say.
In the last 5 years, the company has received dividends from its operating subsidiaries approximating $30 billion.
That's ASI or AOI?
And a number of other operating subsidiaries. AOI is a holding company. One of its roles is to own a number of Apple's international subsidiaries.
But ASI has received about $70 billion in cash, has it not, from those subsidiaries, and about $30 billion of that 70 went to AOI. Is that about right?
I don't have the precise details. There were distributions from a number of other subsidiaries as well.
Does that sound about right?
Approximately.
Okay. Just to summarize here, AOI has received about $30 billion over the last 5 years, but has not filed a corporate income tax return. Is that correct?
That is correct. That income is not subject to U.S. tax under both statute and by regulation. And while it has not filed a tax return, Apple Inc. has paid tax on the interest earned by AOI.
I understand that, but I'm not talking about the interest earned on the $30 billion that it has put in banks or whatever and invested and received interest on. I'm talking about the $30 billion that it received in dividends, approximately. It has not filed a corporate income tax return on that money. Is that correct?
That is correct, but all of the subsidiaries underneath have earned that money in their countries and paid tax as required by law.
Whatever taxes were owed there, but,
Right.
okay. The, does ASI own the economic rights to Apple's intellectual property offshore other than in the Americas?
Yes, it does in part. It owns that in combination with AOE, which is the subsidiary that handles some of the manufacturing that the company continues to do in Ireland.
All right. And neither one of those companies files an income tax with the United States, is that correct?
Neither of those companies file a tax return with the United States, although Apple Inc. reports.
We just went through that, the interest.
Actually, both interest and there is a small amount of what's known as foreign-based company sales income that is subject to current U.S. tax from ASI's business activity.
My time is up. Senator McCain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the witnesses, and Mr. Cook, we congratulate you on all of your successes and that of Apple. And you, as we said earlier, you've managed to change the world, which is an incredible legacy for Apple and all of the men and women who serve it. Also, I think you have to be a pretty smart guy to do what you do, and pretty tough guy too. You have that reputation, and I say that in a complimentary fashion, and I enjoyed our conversation. And so I wonder, do you feel that you've been bullied or harassed by this committee or its members?
I feel very good to be participating in this, and I hope to help the process. I'd really like for comprehensive tax reform to be passed this year, and any way that Apple can help do that, we're ready to help.
So it was my understanding that you sought to testify before this committee for that purpose and other purposes. Is that correct?
I think it's important that we tell our story, and I'd like people to hear it directly from me.
So you were not dragged before this committee?
I didn't get dragged here, sir.
You don't drag very easily, I understand. So I thank you. This is an issue of concern for Congress. And I guess my first question to you, Mr. Cook, is you have obviously legally taken advantage of a number of aspects of the tax code, both foreign and domestic, and that has reduced the tax burden. I think we would agree that if you were paying the 35% corporate tax rate that domestic companies pay. So my question is, couldn't one draw the conclusion that you and Apple have an unfair advantage over domestic-based corporations and companies, in other words, smaller companies in this country that don't have the same ability that you do to locate in Ireland or other countries overseas?
No, sir, it's not the way that I see it, and I'd like to describe that. The way that I look at this is Apple pays 30.5% of its profits in taxes in the United States. And I don't know exactly where this stacks up relative to other companies, but I would guess it's extremely high on the list, and that I know with the $6 billion that I believe that we're the top payer in the United States. We do have a low tax rate outside the United States, but this tax rate is for products that we sell outside the United States, not within. And so the way that I look at this is there's no shifting going on that I see at all. And in addition, if you look at Apple versus other companies that do not sell in the U.S., I would say that the applicable comparison would be the 30.5% effective rate, not our foreign tax rate.
Well, let's get a little simpler here. Why does AOI exist?
Sir,
How is its income generated? How is its income taxed? Why was AOI incorporated in Ireland? 4,000 employees is impressive, but not impressive when you look at your overall workforce. So maybe you can clear that up for us.
Yes, thanks very much for the question. AOI was created in 1980. And at this period of time, Apple was, this is before the days that the iPhone and iPad and iPod and the things that we're known for today were even invented. As a matter of fact, the Mac wasn't announced until 1984. And so Apple was looking for a place to distribute its products in Europe.
I understand that 1980. Is that still operative today?
The relationship between Apple and the Irish government is still there today, and we built up a sizable population.
I say with respect, given the tax rate that you are paying in Ireland, I'm sure you have a very close relationship.
But it's more than that, sir. It's that we've built up a significant skill base there of people that really understand deeply the European market, that serve our customers well, that provide a number of functions for that. And also, I think it's important to understand that AOI is nothing more than a holding company. A holding company, as you know, is a concept that many companies use. It's not an operating company. And so the dividends that go into this this holding company have already been taxed as appropriately in their local jurisdiction. And so AOI is nothing more than...
To a great advantage to Apple, wouldn't you agree?
AOI to me, sir, is nothing more than a company that has been set up to provide an efficient way to manage Apple's cash from income that's already been taxed. And the investment income that comes out of AOI is taxed in the United States at the full 35% rate. And so, sir, from my point of view, AOI does not reduce our U.S. taxes at all.
Can you please state for the record where AOI, ASI, and AOE is a tax residence?
Yes, sir. As my understanding is there's not a tax residence for any of the three subsidiaries that you just named.
Does that sound logical?
Well, again, as I look at it, the ASI and AOE are paying Irish taxes. And so I personally don't understand the difference between a tax presence and a tax residence, but I know that they fill out Irish taxes and pay those. AOI, because it's just a holding company, the interest, it only makes investment income, and all of that investment income is taxed in the United States at the full 35% level.
When you look at that avoidance or relief of a 35% tax burden, which I'm sure that we're in agreement is way too high and now the highest in the world, I understand. But you said the purpose of AOI is to ease administrative burdens. But are there certain U.S. tax burdens? Isn't it obvious that you are not bearing the same tax burden as if you were bearing in the United States, which then gives you some advantage over corporations and companies which are smaller, which are strictly located in the United States of America? I'm not saying that's wrongdoing, but I think you would agree that it gives you a significant advantage.
Again, sir, I have tremendous respect for you. I see this differently than you do, I believe. What I see is Apple's earning these profits outside the United States. By law and regulation, they're not taxable in the U.S. We've set up a holding company to collect these after-tax profits from our different foreign subsidiaries into AOI. It then invests as any Treasury kind of arm would, and the interest investment or the interest profits off of that are paid in the U.S. as they're required to under existing U.S. Treasury regulations.
Can you understand there's a perception of unfair advantage here, Mr. Cook?
Sir, I see this as a very complex topic that I'm glad that we're having the discussion. But honestly speaking, I don't see it as being unfair. I am not an unfair person. That's not who we are as a company or who I am as an individual. And so I would not preside over that, honestly. I don't see it in that way.
I thank you. I'm out of time. What I really wanted to ask is why the hell I have to keep updating the apps on my iPhone all the time and why you don't fix that. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, we're trying to make them better all the time.
Thank you. We have only 5 minutes left, I believe, on a roll call. Now, have you voted already? I think we better recess for about 10 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.